We are Provident Media. I think we're the only film and television fund that is presented today. And the key thing I want you all to remember is that content is king. We are very unique in that we are providing a vehicle to invest in the film industry of South Africa, which is highly regarded internationally, both in the production itself and behind the camera, the crews. So we are trying to unlock value of this sector, which has traditionally been locked up. Our investment and what we're trying to do is produce content that is available both locally and globally. We're going to do this through distribution agreements, licensing agreements of property. We believe that because of South Africa's very strong production capability at a low cost, we can produce and use the producers of this country, along with some co-production activity with other countries, to produce great content that can travel overseas and get the returns for our investors. So those returns would come in mainly dollar and euro denominations. I think that what's important is that content is now streamed, is digital, it's no longer just linear. And with all these new platforms popping up, Netflix, you know them, Peacock, HBO, Showmax, there is a huge demand for content so that these services can remain relevant and continue to get subscription, SVOD fees. We have over 50 years of experience in this sector. Our networks are vast. We have close relationships with local distribution platforms, you know them, Mnet, SABC. We also have partnerships overseas in the US. So we believe that our offering is very strong because we're not only giving you production, but we're also giving you distribution so you can make your money back. Our mandate is to use the government's incentives to reduce the risk of your investment in us. And how do we do that? We do that through incentives that are provided by places like the DTI and other film commissions around the country. And then, of course, the opportunity is a pooled investment, so you're not backing one film, you're backing a slate of projects that we believe over time, through the life of the investment, will give you the returns that you're seeking on your investment. The team, myself, I have a lot of experience in the sector in distribution. My partner, Mr. Ramalutan, he's upstairs. He handles the finance. Flucky Gordon is a well-known Cape Town-based producer, line producer here in South Africa. She's worked on some major productions that have gone overseas, like Safe House. I'm sure some of you have seen Safe House. Then this is our advisory team, well-seasoned. Ifram is a servicing producer in Cape Town. Colin is a well-known private equity player. I'm sure some of you in here know him. And then Mr. Ryan Glover started a channel in the United States that started in 2011. He started the investment with $1 million and recently sold it for $300 million to a larger media network. So we have the team that can execute on the mandate. Our approach, we're going to be hands-on. We have the access to both local and international players within this sector. The team is experienced, and we believe that we can minimize the risk through distribution and incentives that would help to increase and manage the returns that we are suggesting. The opportunity is that South Africa has a very strong sector, film sector. It's over 100 years old, so it's not new. It just hasn't been exploited. It hasn't been given the chance to thrive on a global scale, and we intend to change that. South Africa ranks in the top 4 or 5, Cape Town, Johannesburg together, out of these 16 cities in terms of being a low-cost, high-quality producer of content. What are some of the challenges facing the industry right now? You can see severe lack of funding. That's the #1 phone call I get from producers, even veteran producers who have shows on TV and have done movies. Funding is a problem. There is a lack of financial products as well for these producers. And there's been an oligopoly in terms of the distribution of content produced here in South Africa. And then, of course, historically, it's been very difficult for South African producers to access international markets. That stops with us. I have worked personally with Motion Picture Association and many of the big US broadcasters and European that are struggling to find good African content. The South African government is increasingly focused on the creative industries, so that's extremely important because that means that the incentives should start flowing better and increasing. Many media watchers here might be paying attention that there was a ruling against MultiChoice last year that they need to reduce the amount of content that they acquire overseas and spend more time developing and registering original content play on their networks. So that's extremely important. I said earlier, OTT, digital, Netflix, Showmax, it's globally growing. I think I read an article last week that Netflix is going to spend somewhere around $18 billion annually on acquiring content. So there's a huge need to produce from here. Just as everybody's been talking about the 12J, but over and above that, we're offering government rebate to reduce risk, as well as other funding grants that are available in the country existing right now. And then there's the 12O, which is another tax incentive to help spur the investment in film and television, which gives the investor or this vehicle a 10-year period from the time the production is completed to take in revenues, to take in income tax-free. So that's also an added benefit to this vehicle. This is important, the risk capital being minimized because of the 12J. That's their first red line, so that diminishes the risk. Approval of the rebate, the incentives I discussed earlier, is the next red line, and then it really reduces the risk on the investment to 20%. Exposure to a different asset class than what you all have seen today is risk of diversified. Some of the best assets will be involved in this vehicle. We'll only produce stuff where we can get distribution for sure. And then downside protection because it's a pooled investment. We're trying to get $450 million. The minimum investment is $300,000. And then this is returns. Very important to highlight this in that even in the low case, you're still making money because you're minimalized the risk through investments. And from the time the project is completed, it starts generating revenue because we're going to license it and sell it overseas and locally.